Hey everybody, welcome. Really happy to be with you today. If I know you well, welcome back. Many of you we've met in other courses and we've spent time together doing this work over the past years. But some of you I'm meeting for the very first time. I'm sure there's a few of you out there. So I want to introduce myself. I'm Justin Hilton. I'm the founder of Safe Place International. And Safe Place International started as a group of activists who wanted to create safe spaces for LGBT refugees and women and children who were fleeing for their lives. So we started with safe houses, and then we met the needs for food and for legal help and for medicine. And we kept going because we heard from our community members and our then family that people really needed a deep sense of relatedness. They needed to heal from the trauma that they'd been experiencing over their journey. So as we developed our work, we included trauma work and group work, and then COVID came, and we had to take a deep look at the resources in our community, and we had to adapt everything we were doing to a virtual setting. At that time, we started including our friends and family in Africa. And when we did that, we realized that what we really needed was representation at all the places where policies are determined, where resources are allocated. We needed to have our community members represented in the decisions that affect them. So as we developed this leadership curriculum, we developed it for this community, with this community. What we realized is that there were a lot of leadership trainings out there in universities and in virtual training programs, but they were all geared and calibrated towards people that had had a life of privilege, had been told from the day they were born that everything they did was amazing and that the world was going to cater to their needs and that opportunity was whatever they wanted it to be. Often, if you're watching this video, that was not your experience as a child. If you're watching this video, you've probably had to navigate a lot of negative feedback, negative reflection, ostracization, not being included, and also not being told that you have a unique, precious gift and that your life experience is contributing and feeding that gift, and that gift will culminate in a destiny that only you have. So that is the purpose of all the leadership work we do, to nurture that destiny, to bring it forward, and to recognize that people that have experienced marginalization have unique gifts to bring and to invite those gifts forward. So we teach, if you want to call it that, a little bit differently than some universities and certainly than most virtual courses. It's very interactive. So I hope you have a pen and paper or a digital device to write with, because what's going to happen is I'm going to offer some perspective. I'm going to offer some new ways to think about things. And then I'm going to give you a chance to make it personal, bring it into your own life and see what's true for you. Today we're going to talk about betrayal. Betrayal is something that's hit all of us and often colors our relationships, colors what we think is possible for us, colors our self-confidence. So we're going to explore that subject, but the way that we're going to explore it is you listening inside. All the work we do culminates and comes from your body. Really, often when we've had very challenging experiences and we've lived in hostile environments, we've sort of left our body and we live kind of up here and we breathe into our chest. So we're going to take some deep breaths together. We're going to come back into our body and we're going to listen to our own inner wisdom. So there'll be a lot of work where you're writing and seeing what's true for you, and I'm making distinctions, and we'll pull it together. And the purpose of this work is for you to really get a sense of how your inner world works and to be more in touch with who you are and what you really want and what the path is to realizing your dreams, realizing your potential, expressing fully who you are. All right, so let's dive in. So today's topic is betrayal. Betrayal is one of the most debilitating forms of pain in the human experience. Often people say that a deep betrayal is more painful, more debilitating than the death of a loved one, than a diagnosis of cancer, than massive financial loss. And why is that? Why would we say that betrayal of trust and love is actually more painful, more debilitating, more disorienting than the loss of a loved one? Well, it's because it comes from the inside. When we offer our love and trust, someone is all the way inside of us. And when that trust is violated, it's like the rug is ripped out from under us. We don't know what to trust. We don't know who to trust. We don't know what's real. And often the person that betrayed us is the one we would look to for support. Support that we need when we're facing the worst kind of pain in the human experience, and we no longer have that person. So if you're taking this course, you've probably endured a lot of challenging and even horrific life circumstances. And someone from the outside might say that all of that resilience, that all of that living through what on the outside and certainly on the inside were horrific circumstances, were really unfair treatment, were really painful experiences, would prepare you for betrayal. But I'm here to say that's actually not the case. Nothing prepares us for being violated on the inside. You know, when we are victims of violence, when we're raped, when we're beaten, when we're oppressed, when we're systematically denied rights, when we're driven from our homes, it's almost like we can see the threat coming. And some part of us can prepare. Doesn't mean that it's not traumatic, doesn't mean that it doesn't scar us often for life. But it's a different kind of violation when we've given our love and our trust and someone is all the way inside of us. They're part of us, and then they betray us. Because then we have to question everything, the very ground that we walk on. What is real? What can we trust? Who can we trust? Can we trust anyone? Can we trust ourselves to choose people that are worthy and will honor our trust? So what I'm saying may sound a bit dramatic, and if it does, I mean for it to. Because often what we get from the outside is, so that person betrayed you, move on, get over it. It happened 6 months ago, it happened 5 years ago. Just move on. You're not even in contact with that person, or you didn't get physically hurt. What's the problem? And so my purpose in really emphasizing the depth of the pain and the effects of betrayal is because often we blame ourselves, we shame ourselves, and we say we shouldn't have this reaction, we shouldn't have all these feelings, we shouldn't have obsessive thoughts about this betrayal, we should be able to move on. And we carry that internal shame, and that internal shame often prohibits us, keeps us from seeking help. So the first thing I want you to know about betrayal, and I alluded to this just a few minutes ago, is that the effects are non-linear. So whether the betrayal was last month or a year ago or 5 years ago or maybe 20 years ago, often the effects of betrayal come in without warning and just hit us. And often the triggers for these really overwhelming emotions that arise and effects of betrayal don't have an obvious source. They just arise, which can be confusing and disorienting and can have us feel really unsafe. So our process today is, first, we're going to spend some time really contacting the betrayal that we experience. And I'm assuming that everyone that is here with me today, that you have experienced some event of betrayal, some experience of betrayal. Probably why you picked this video. So our process will be, first, contacting that experience of betrayal. Second, unpacking it, starting to look at how it's actually affecting our lives. Then we'll look at some best practices, some things that you can do on the healing journey. And then we'll just add at the end a menu of things that can help us cope through this process of using those strategies. Because there's a way that betrayal, even as you're on the healing journey, can feel really overwhelming. And we're still living our lives, right? We're still taking care of children, going to work, running organizations, holding space for people, needing to make a living. So I'm going to give you some strategies and some tools to also work with regulating your emotions when they come up strong. Everything that we've experienced in our lifetimes, including betrayal, is stored in the body. So our first step is to move out of our head, to deepen our breath, and to come back into the body. So how we do that is by dropping inside. I'm gonna ask you to close your eyes. I'm gonna cast my eyes down, and we're just gonna spend some time inside, reconnecting with our inner wisdom, reconnecting with our emotions, and just remembering some of the experience that we had around the betrayal that brought us to this time together. So if you're willing, letting your eyes close, feeling your feet on the floor, noticing the chair that you're sitting in, how it's supporting you, and just starting to let your breath deepen. First, noticing if you're breathing into your chest or into your belly. I often put a hand on my belly just to remind myself to breathe all the way down there, and letting your exhales be full and audible. And with each audible exhale, allowing yourself to just let go of anything you're holding. Letting go of the day, letting go of your worries, letting go of your concerns, all the things you're managing. All the things that are currently taking your attention. It's almost like you're just exhaling them out. Just taking a few more deep breaths, and with each exhale, just dropping more deeply into your own body. And noticing as you settle into your body, if there's any physical tension. Are you holding tension in your shoulders or your neck? Is there tension in your legs? Is there any part of your body that's hurting you right now? Just giving a compassionate, loving attention to what's physically happening in your body. And as you take in what's physically happening with your body, noticing if there are any emotions that are just right under the surface. Any emotions that you've been living over. And if you notice emotions, where do you feel those emotions in your body? I often place a hand on my heart. Maybe you'll join me. And just allowing that hand to be a hand of support. When I put my hand on my heart, I want to do another exhale. I feel like I'm just softening into being right here. So feeling that hand on your heart is a hand of support. and allowing your heart to soften, allowing it to melt, allowing yourself just to notice how your heart is feeling in this moment. And just breathing with that hand on your heart and that hand on your belly, and settling in deeper and deeper to your own body, into your own heart, and letting yourself know that it's safe to explore this betrayal that you experienced. If at any time you have feelings that feel too intense, you can always open your eyes. Again, feeling your feet on the floor if you need to come out, and then going back inside when you're ready. You get to choose. You are a total choice in this process we're doing right now, and in all the processes we'll do in our time together today. This can be a great space to explore feelings that have felt overwhelming before. But at any time, if you feel overwhelmed or like they're too much, you can just come out. You can just make some distance. And the way that we're going to go in is also going to allow you to have a little bit of distance from what's felt overwhelming before. So really grounding in that place of safety and your total choice. You are at choice every moment in this process. And starting to remember how the last 24 hours have been for you. Just letting your body really tell you, how has this last day, this last 24 hours been for you? What's been easy? What's been hard? What feelings and thoughts have arisen in this past day? And as you just review this last 24 hours, letting yourself include the last 24 hours and extend to the whole last week that you've experienced. How has the last week been for you? What was easy? What felt hard? What feelings and thoughts have you encountered over this last week? We're just dropping in and learning to listen, learning to see. And as we review this last week and feel what was easy and what was hard and what feelings arose, gently taking yourself back to the time you experience the betrayal that you want to work on today, the betrayal that you want to look more closely at and understand today. Taking yourself back to that time. And to give you maximum safety and choice, I'd love you to imagine that you're an angel or a presence looking down on this whole experience that you had around this betrayal. You're looking down at yourself. You're not actually in your body. You're looking down and you're witnessing what happened. Only you can actually feel the feelings in your body. You can sense the thoughts in your body as you look down and watch yourself. So as you bring back that memory of betrayal, notice what happened. Notice who was there, how you were feeling. Notice the thoughts you were having and your physical reactions. Again, you're watching as if you were an angel, as if you were above yourself, but you can still feel your feelings. I know bringing yourself back to this really painful event, this betrayal, can be difficult, and I'm going to ask you to keep breathing and reminding yourself that you're safe and you're actually outside of the situation watching what happened. You want to learn more about it because in the situation you weren't able to be present. It was overwhelming. And as you stay in that place outside of your body, almost like you were watching a movie of what happened, looking to see what were your strongest reactions. What were your strongest emotions? Was there disorientation? Was anger present? Did you feel sadness? Did you feel desperation? Did you feel grief? Was there denial that this was even happening, that this could even be real? Again, you're looking from above your body, but you can feel what's happening in your body and you can sense your thoughts. And I want to say the denial part again. Often when betrayal happens to us, we can't even deal with this new reality. So there's an instant pushing away of this reality. Looking to see if that happened for you. Just allowing yourself to clearly see what happened as you initially reacted to this betrayal. And again, if there's anything that you're seeing that feels like too much, I'm going to first ask you to breathe. And then again, notice that you can actually get a little more distance. You can go a little higher with your awareness if you need to. You can pull back. You have that choice. You get to decide. How you can do that is just imagine that you're pulling yourself just a little higher until you get to a safe distance. And then if you feel more comfortable as you breathe, then you can come back. But you can also sense from that higher distance. And now from whatever distance you've chosen, just allowing yourself to take it all in, to see clearly what happened. Anything you notice about the person or the entity that betrayed you. And what do you notice about your reaction? How are you doing in the situation? How are you reacting to this person? Are you bringing them close? Are you pushing them away? Are you angry at them? Can you look at them? Are you looking away? Noticing your reaction. Often in the moment of betrayal, we are so overwhelmed and flooded with thoughts and emotions that it's very hard to even get our head around what's actually happening in the moment. And again, from whatever distance you've chosen above your body, just seeing and feeling anything you can see about this whole incidence of betrayal. And as you just take it in, see the landscape, see what happened from this distance that you feel safe at. Letting your inner world know that soon you'll be coming back into your body, that it's safe to be in your body, that you're coming back with more awareness, more understanding, and that there's space inside your body to see and feel whatever is there. Feeling your body again in the chair. Start to be aware of where your body meets the chair. Feeling your feet on the floor. And just noticing for a minute, how does it feel just to sit and breathe in your body? Just sitting and breathing in your body. And then gently opening your eyes and coming back. Welcome back and thank you for going in. I know for many of us, this is a really scary and unfamiliar place. And often when we've experienced betrayal, we've been running from that memory. We've been running from going back into that place where it happened. We've been denying it. So to whatever extent you were able to go there today, great job, and you did it perfectly. So this is the part that I told you about before, where you're gonna need your pen and paper or a digital device to record your thoughts and experiences. And we're just gonna go through and start to unpack some of how the betrayal that you just went back and witnessed and felt has affected you. And we're just gonna see what's true in your body and your experience. This next part is about unpacking the effects that this experience of betrayal have had and are having in your life. And the first effect we want to explore is around trust. And you might experience that many different ways, but it could be being suspicious of people's motives, being a bit paranoid about people's intentions, and a reluctance to trust. So I've got a slide to support you, and I'd love you to write until the timer runs out. And if you have more to say about how this betrayal has affected your ability to trust in other people and maybe yourself, keep writing. Just pause the video and keep writing and then come back. Offering the slide now, trust. How has your trust been affected? The next effect we want to explore is emotional distress, sudden overwhelming emotions, and how they get expressed. What kinds of emotional distress? It could be angry outbursts, it could be sudden bursts of sadness, it could be depression. How have your emotions been affected by this betrayal? You have a slide to support you. Again, write until the timer runs out. Just keep going and trust whatever's coming. And if you want to keep writing, if there's more to write, just pause the video and come back when you're finished. Often when we've experienced betrayal, when we've been hurt so deeply from the inside, we become what they call hypervigilant. And that means that we're on guard and we're ready for attack all the time. It's really stressful on our whole body and our nervous system. How has this betrayal affected your hypervigilance, your feeling of being suspicious and on guard and ready for a threat and seeing threats everywhere? There's a slide to support you. Write whatever comes, and please write until the timer runs out, and keep writing if you have more in there that wants to be expressed. Often when we've been betrayed by someone who we gave our love and trust, someone really close to us, our self-esteem is profoundly affected. We lose confidence. We don't feel lovable. We don't feel worthy of respect. How has your self-esteem been affected by this betrayal? Again, we have a slide to support you. Please keep writing until the time runs out and take more time if you need it. And of course, when we are violated, when we're betrayed by someone we love, it affects all of our relationships. It affects our ability to form relationships, to maintain relationships, to have intimacy, to get help. How has this betrayal affected your relationships? There's a slide to support you. Keep writing until all is out. How has this betrayal affected your relationships? And there's no way that all the stress of betrayal doesn't manifest for us physically. For some of us, it's headaches and stomach aches and pain in the body. Some of us, it's tiredness. We feel tired all the time. Others of us, many of us, have trouble sleeping. So how has this betrayal affected you physically? There's a slide to support you. Again, write until everything's out. When we've been so profoundly hurt by betrayal, one of the ways that we try to avoid getting hurt again is by pulling back from social interactions, by withdrawing from life, by distracting ourselves. So what kinds of avoidance behaviors, ways of pulling back from life have manifested, have shown up in your life in reaction to this betrayal? There's a slide to support you. Again, keep writing until the timer runs out. Please keep writing if there's more, and just pause the video. Many of us have intrusive thoughts, obsessive replaying of what happened in the betrayal, and constant, what we call monkey mind, the mind just going crazy, trying to make sense of this betrayal. In what way has this betrayal affected your mental world, the way that you think, and the way that you have peace with your thoughts? There's a slide to support you. Go ahead and write now, and write at least until the timer is finished, and write more if there's more. And often one of the most disorienting effects of betrayal is a loss of a sense of who we are. Often who we are was so tied up in our relationship, so tied up in the choices we made on who to trust and who to love, that when that trust gets betrayed, we lose connection with ourselves. We lose connection with our passion, with our identity, with our purpose. We lose our way. Let's write now on how loss of identity, loss of connection to yourself, what's important to you, what your values are, has shown up in relation to this betrayal. Right now, you've got a timer, you know what to do. And lastly, when such a profound wounding occurs, we don't blame the person that betrayed us. We blame ourselves. Why did we trust them? Why didn't we see the signs? Why didn't we make a different choice? How could we have been so blind? So blaming ourselves and shaming ourselves is another way of inflicting pain when we're already in the most profound pain of betrayal. How have you blamed yourself? How have you shamed yourself in relation to this betrayal? Use the timer, write till it's finished, and if there's more, keep writing and pause the video. Taking a look at all you've been managing. You've been functioning in your life to whatever extent you have, but you've been managing all of these symptoms, all of these reactions to betrayal. It's a lot. Just letting yourself take a minute and take all that in. And one of the first steps to healing is developing a sense of self-compassion, of empathy, of generosity towards ourselves. Really knowing that this betrayal was in no way your fault. You didn't do it. It wasn't because of a bad choice you made. You gave your trust, you gave your love, and it was violated, it was trashed. Not your fault. So I'm gonna ask you now to stretch and write a letter of generosity, of empathy, of compassion to yourself. And one of the things that we do in the Dream Academy and in Safe Place is we never ask you to do something that we're not willing to do ourselves. So I'm gonna read you a letter that I just wrote. And your letter's gonna be different. Your letter's gonna be from you to you. But this gives you a flavor of what's possible when we write this letter to ourselves with compassion, with empathy, with generosity. I'm gonna ask you to just start with the sentence, I forgive myself. I forgive myself for choosing to give my love and trust to someone who didn't earn or deserve it. I forgive myself for ignoring the signs that that person was not trustworthy. I forgive myself for taking all the responsibility in the relationship, for taking all the blame. I forgive myself for giving the person who betrayed me all the compassion and understanding rather than giving that compassion and empathy to myself. I forgive myself for all the blaming and unkind things I've said to myself. I forgive myself for all the ways I've tried to cope with the pain of this betrayal. Often we do really destructive or addictive behaviors just to cope with the pain. I forgive myself for all the things I've said in anger from this betrayal. Often, whether it's to the person who betrayed us or to other people, we have angry outbursts, just forgiving ourselves and giving ourselves a little bit of understanding around that. I forgive myself for all the ways I've pulled back from people who want to love and support me just from the pain I feel from that betrayal. I forgive myself for any self-judgment about how hard and painful this process of being betrayed has been for me. Often we tell ourselves we should get over it, we should move on, rather than giving ourselves all the space and time we need. I'm gonna ask you to write a letter of forgiveness. And I want you to start with the sentence, I forgive myself for. And I want you to keep writing until you feel complete. We're gonna give you some time, but I want you to take all the time you need for this letter and to stretch yourself and be really, really generous. I forgive myself for. We've got a slide to support you. Go ahead and write now. So great job. You offered yourself forgiveness. I'd love you to just glance through all the things that you forgive yourself for and see if you can really receive that forgiveness. And I want to invite you to come back to all of these ways that you forgive yourself, that you let yourself off the hook, that you give yourself some slack, that you give yourself some understanding, some room to be where you are, to feel what you feel. I'd love you to come back, and each time you read those statements of forgiveness, see if you can let them in a little bit more. And we're going ever deeper in this healing process, even though we have a short time together. So I'd like you to stretch with me now and write a letter to yourself that's very personal and compassionate and empathetic. And of course, I wrote a letter to share with you, and your letter is going to be from you to you. So you're going to say whatever you're going to say, but I wanted to just give you a flavor of what it could be like to write a letter to yourself that is a letter only you could write from your understanding of what's going on the inside. Dear Justin, I love you so much. And as hard as this is, I know you're gonna get through it. I know you're gonna use all the pain you're feeling to grow and create a life beyond what you can imagine now. You learned very early that love was about meeting other people's needs and expectations and not having needs yourself. This betrayal is an opportunity to shift what you learned about love so early and surround yourself with people who can truly see you, who can truly love you, and can meet you in your level of service, your level of commitment and loyalty and deep intimacy. I totally understand why you chose the person who betrayed you. It makes sense given what you learned about love so early in life. You are a strong person with a generous heart, and I know you will continue to find your people, those people that offer you trust where it's earned and deserved. Take as much time and space as you need to heal, and ask for help whenever you need it. I love you. So now it's your turn to write a letter of understanding, compassion, and empathy. And we've got a slide to help you start. We want you to start with dear and your name. And then maybe the first line is, I love you so much. Maybe you give yourself that gift and really allow yourself to contact the place in you that does love you so much, that believes in you. And I'd love you to include somewhere in the letter, I totally understand why. Because so often we question and criticize all of our actions when we get hurt. Some way, something we could have done to avoid it. So we've got a slide to support you. I really want you to take time and be generous with this letter to yourself of empathy and compassion. Again, there's a timer. Just pause the video and write as long as you want. And if you get finished before the timer, please keep writing. And we're gonna have some time after to really take in and feel this letter that you're about to write. So again, I'd like you to take a minute and read through the letter of compassion and empathy you wrote to yourself. And really let it hit you. You know, you're the most credible person to give yourself love. You know you better than anyone. But often we're not trained to receive our own love and empathy and compassion. We're trained that we have to get it from outside, from someone else. And this experience of betrayal brings home that can often be dangerous. So really important that we're able to receive love and empathy and compassion from ourselves. So just take a minute now and reread your letter of empathy and compassion and see if you can just let it in, like you were receiving that letter from your most trusted friend, maybe directly from God. Just take a minute now. So often what happens to us when we're betrayed is it's so confronting that, as we said earlier, there's a sense of denial that steps in where we feel like, oh, this must be some mistake. This person must have just made a bad decision or had a bad day, or this can't be real, or I'm not seeing this correctly. There must be some other way to look at it, some way to understand them that wouldn't feel so painful, so violating. And as we said earlier, often the person that betrays us is the person we would look to for support, is the person that is closest to us, or one of the people that's closest to us. And there's a drive when we can't be with a new and very confronting reality to change it. And how that manifests is we often go to the person that's betrayed us and try to process our feelings and work it out with them. We try to reach resolution with them. Now the problem with that is that most often betrayal doesn't happen out of the blue. It's part of a long-standing pattern of betrayal, small betrayals that manifest into a big one, right? And as we come to terms with what happened, we start to see all of those signs, all of those behavior patterns. But often that doesn't stop us from still wanting to go to that person that betrayed us and somehow rekindle that connection or find healing with them, even though often the person that betrayed us is not so concerned about the impact of their betrayal. Those people are often more concerned with themselves and their own self-preservation. So for that reason, I'm going to ask you to do something that's often counterintuitive, counter to your emotional urge. I'm going to ask you to commit to yourself to take some distance from the person who betrayed you until you're in a more clear place. Now I know for me, I feel that emotional urge. Sometimes I can't stop myself. So I rely on friends to put some structure and say, no, you absolutely can't process your feelings there. Process them with me. You know, if you're looking for resolution, if this is driving you crazy, don't talk to the person that betrayed you, talk to me. So I would encourage you to find those trusted friends and to find support for the commitment that I'm going to ask you to make. And again, the commitment I'm going to ask you to make is to take some distance from the person, or if it was an entity, if it was an institution, take some distance from whatever party betrayed you until you're in a very clear place, until you've had a chance to heal. And that's going to take a little while. So I'm going to give you a slide now, and I'm going to ask you in your own way to make a commitment to yourself, to keep yourself safe by not processing all your vulnerability and all these feelings that we're exposing today with the person that betrayed you. To find other places where you can get support, other friends you can trust, and also to take your own love. So I'm going to ask you to make that commitment now, and we have a slide to support you. Okay, great work so far. And I want to let you know the hard work is over. Now we're going to start to look at some of the ways that we enter the healing path, that we start to take care of ourselves and start the healing process. And the first one is just to feel your feelings, just to feel whatever you're feeling and to make room for those feelings. And to know that you can use techniques like what we use today in the meditation and take a little bit of distance from the feelings and then come back when you feel safer. So feel your feelings. That is step one. It's simple, but often difficult. The second is seek support. Find your people, find your tribe, find one or two people that you really trust. Let them know what's going on with you. Let them know what you need. Get permission to call them at 2 a.m. But seek support. None of us can heal the pain of betrayal alone. So find those people and get support. The next one is to set boundaries. This is not the time to enter more relationships where people are asking a lot from you, or where people in some way remind you of the person that betrayed you. This is the time to keep a tight circle with people that you really trust that can totally be there for you. So I'm gonna ask you to set boundaries, set the boundaries that are right for you and set the boundaries that really take into account that you're hurting and that you need some protection, right? We're often not aware of our own fragility, of our own tenderness. And for those of us who are super strong and capable in the world, it can be hard to admit, like, hey, I'm down right now. I'm fragile right now. I need some protection. So boundaries, really, really important. And then self-care, that means different things for each one of us. For me, it's taking time on myself, for myself, not trying to do quite as many things. Doing things that feel nurturing to me. Could be listening to music, could be dancing, could be meditating, could be walking in nature, could be eating really nourishing food, could be getting enough sleep. But practice self-care and know that you've really got to up your self-care. Now, the letter you wrote, the forgiveness statements you made, is a great first step to self-forgiveness. But self-forgiveness is an ongoing, lifelong process. So whenever you notice that judgment or that shame or that blame or I should have or it's somehow my fault. I should get over it faster. I should have known. I need to be more productive. Just practicing self-forgiveness, self-compassion. And then, as we go to the core of our internal world, there's a chance for us to grow. We didn't pick this person who betrayed us out of the blue. This person was very likely similar to the people in our early life. And in my early life, what I learned was that love comes with pain. Love comes with other people's needs, and that other people's needs are more important than my needs. So this is a chance when we're brought to our knees with this pain of betrayal for profound and rapid personal growth. So looking for those ways that you get to reinvent yourself, that you get to be born again, that you get to have a new life, that you get to be the architect of the rules of this new life, that you get to blow off the ceilings. A friend of mine refers to it as if a tornado blows your house down and you're standing where your house was, you have profound grief and sadness about losing your house. And you might stand there for a day or a week or a year, grieving the loss of that house. But when it comes time to rebuild that house, why build the same house, right? You don't have a house. why not build the house of your dreams with all the bedrooms, with all the light, with all the great views, with everything you ever wanted in your house? And that is a metaphor, of course, for recreating what's possible for us, for recreating how much connection we can have, how much aliveness we have, how much possibility we have, how much abundance we have. So there's a real opportunity to use this experience of profound pain for deep personal growth. And that segues into, as we said before, the pain of betrayal is nonlinear. It takes the time it takes. So giving yourself time and space and infusing all the compassion and the empathy and the self-love that we've been working on today into giving yourself space. People out in the world may not give you space. They may say, you're still talking about that? You're still obsessing about that? You're still in pain about that? Come on, move on. It's up to you to really give yourself the time and the space you need to heal. It's great work. And I know this is a lot of information. Of course, go back to this video, take screenshots, write down anything that you want to retain. And again, feel free to watch this video as many times as it takes. Often I revisit work like this 2 or 3 times, and each time I get a little bit more. I wanted to close today with offering you some just very practical things. Some are gonna fit for you and some aren't, that can be good with helping us navigate this healing path. Because as we said, it doesn't happen in a week, it doesn't happen in a month. It takes the time it takes. And in the meantime, we need to be functional. We need to be able to be in our body and to form and participate in community and in the support that we need. So I'm just gonna give you some very practical things. And again, take the ones that resonate with you, maybe try some new things. But if it doesn't feel like, oh, that doesn't help me, I don't really like that, then just let it go. So one is exercise, and I really want to emphasize this one. When we are overwhelmed by feelings, changing the inner physiology of our body by exercising, by running or walking or lifting weights or swimming or dancing, profound. So give it a try. If you're already an exercise buff, do it. Often, most times, we don't feel like exercising, but those of you who have exercised, it works, right? So that's in your toolbox. And then I just want to say that often we have trouble sleeping and we have excessive thoughts and really strong emotions. This might be the time to think about dialing back stimulants, coffee, and even other substances like alcohol. This is the time when you want to be able to feel your body, and your body doesn't need more things in. So just something to experiment with. Could you use less caffeine? Could you use yet less of whatever you've been using, just for a time? Just see how it works. Now, sleep is important, and we know that not sleeping is a very common symptom of betrayal. Do what you need to sleep. If you need to, take something to help you sleep, then do that, because prolonged lack of sleep, really not so good. Eat healthy food. If we can reduce the amount of sugar we take, great time to do that. Your body is going through a lot. It's stressed. So whatever you can do to eat really healthy, nourishing foods is gonna be a great thing. Meditation is a tool that universally helps us ground. We did a meditation today. You can start with just sitting quietly and breathing for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, whatever works for you. Going outside and just being with the tree and breathing. Whatever form of meditation works for you. Many of us, when we experience betrayal, we leave our faith communities or we leave our spiritual practice. Not the time to leave your faith community or withdraw from your spiritual practice. So whatever spiritual path you're on or practice you have or faith community you have, draw on that faith community for strength. And then just to know that, as we said before, we want to be aware of any people that are pulling our energy. You know, when we're depleted, when we're suffering from the pain of betrayal, we start to notice those toxic people that weren't so visible for us before. Giving yourself permission, you don't have to make any declarations, but just to pull back from anyone who sucks your energy, anyone that's not contributing, anyone that's not meeting you. So letting go of those toxic relationships just for now. And then again, as we've said before, finding who you do feel loved by, who you do feel met by, and finding who you feel joy in the presence of. So finding your people, finding your tribe, that's part of recalibrating, that's part of the personal growth that we talked about. And again, you know, we talked about self-care a lot. You know, try new things. You know, maybe you haven't tried swimming before. Maybe you haven't tried dancing by yourself. Maybe you haven't tried cooking before. But just experimenting and really seeing what nurtures you, what takes care of you, what offers you respite. Even giving yourself permission to do a little Netflix binging, if that is something that, you know, allows your system to just relax a bit. We're in this for the long game, and the healing process takes a while. So trust the process. Give it all the time it needs, and, you know, give yourself so much room to be where you are. And I can't say this enough, and I know I've said it a lot, but that sense of self-forgiveness, self-compassion, self-empathy is really the core of what allows us to go through betrayal and come out in a much more expanded place. Many people years after betrayal say, I'm never trusting anyone again. That's what they took from betrayal. And that's the sentence that they've given themselves for the rest of their lives. Let's not take that path. Let's let betrayal be the doorway to a bright future with people who have earned and deserve our trust, with people who see us, who celebrate us, who invite us out, who invite us to be better, who inspire us. Let's let this betrayal be a catalyst to step into our destiny, to step into the expression of all that we want to bring forth. So again, give yourself a lot of grace and a lot of kindness and a lot of love. This has been quite a session that we've had together. We invite you to come to more of our courses. We offer them online, we offer them in person. And again, I can't say it enough. Give yourself the time and space that you need to heal from betrayal. We look forward to being back with you, and we wish you the best in your healing journey.